guys. It's another episode of the 100% Manchester United podcast, and I'm joined by Draco Evolve and the United Man. Awesome YouTubers. Please go.
And we're live. We're live.
What am I doing?
Hey, guys.
Sorry about that, guys.
It's all good, man.
That was in my background. Okay, sorry. So head over to their channel. We've got a lot to discuss regarding Manchester United, obviously this week. Bruno Fernandes, Wolves, Liverpool, the like. There is so much to talk about. So I guess let's sort of get stuck in. Let's get stuck into it. So no delays.
Absolutely.
I think, and I'd open it up to you guys. United versus Wolves. Boring game, but we got the win. I'm just going to open it to you guys. What did you think about how United played? What was going on there?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Go.
Well, I was just talking to the G just before we went live. I can't really remember much of the game. It seems like a long time away, but I know it was boring for sure. And we've seen a few of those recently, especially this season. I think the important thing here is we're through. We got the win. It wasn't an entertainment game, and you can see again that we lacked creativity. I believe in the second half we didn't even have a shot on target apart from goal. Yeah. So it just shows. And Mata, I mean, how did he run through? I think G was talking to me about with his pace, how did he run through and get a goal? But it was a good finish though, very composed finish. And 1-0, I think. I don't know. Did Wolves deserve to win? Don't think they deserve to lose. Yeah, but we're through. I'll take that. We've got a very easy tie next round, right? What was it? Watford or Tranmere?
Watford or Tranmere? Yeah.
Should be all right, I think. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I'd like to think so. I mean, we did lose against Watford not that long ago. So if it's away, then maybe they might cause us a few problems, depending on what
hopefully
happens.
by then we'll have a few signings in. Well, one signing definitely in. Hopefully.
Yes. Indeed. Yes, exactly. There is a lot of it. I'm confident. We'll talk about Bruno Fernandes. We will. So, I think there is the only point of question from the Wolves game is that, yes, okay, we're through. I think one of the big issues coming from that game was what happened to Rashford. I think the Rashford injury, he wasn't going to play. Then Solskjaer decided to play him. How much of a loss is that for Manchester United? Because we're already injury struck as it is.
I think this is. I know people go on about Ollie and in terms of tactically substitutions and whatnot. I think it comes down to whether or not Ollie was willing to lose the game, which by bringing on Rashford kind of said that he wasn't, which I can't really fault him for, because people would have ended up saying, if we lost the game, why didn't we bring on Rashford if we didn't score? So I can't fault him for not wanting to go out the FA Cup, because for me, I know the FA Cup's kind of, sort of, it's lost its appeal a little bit to most, but for me, all of us, obviously growing up, it still had a massive impact. And the League Cup's always been a little bit different, but FA Cup, and obviously he's an old Man United boy as well. So for me, I think he did right by not trying to, be knocked out. And ultimately, he didn't know what was going to happen to Rashford. The only thing I would have said is, if he didn't want to play him, he shouldn't be on the bench. So the fact that he's on the bench, he's obviously going to use him if things wasn't going our way. Ultimately, I think the VAR decision done us a favour as well, a little bit, maybe. The VAR thing, I'm still not sold on, if I'm completely honest with you. But as Draco said, man, we're through. What
VAR decision was that? Sorry, just to clarify that.
So obviously, because with goals disallowed and whatnot, so I suppose it's one of those things where I'm talking about VAR as a whole now. It's one of those things where we're not. I'm still not sold on it in terms of VAR. I feel like we've we've benefited and we haven't benefited from it. If I go back to, for example, the Everton 1-1 draw where David De Gea came to punch it and got taken out by two Everton players, and then obviously against Watford where he actually came and caught it, and then obviously they had a goal disallowed them. But I just, as Draco said, because we've got the win, we need some kind of luck along the way to winning it. It's funny, I was watching the Class of '92 last night, and they had luck along the way as well in a manner of speaking. So I think if we're going to begin to win stuff again, we need a little bit of luck.
100%. I think with Rashford, I agree with Shane there. He was going to play if he was on the bench 100%, and it's not all his fault in that sense that he got injured. It's just very, very unlucky. How much of a miss he will be? It's going to be a massive miss. I was watching Ollie's press conference this morning, and he said he didn't really rule him out for the game against Liverpool. Whether that's a mind game or not, I have no idea. But with about 48 hours to go till the match, I'm not quite sure. We need another striker because at the moment we've realistically got Rashford, Martial, and Greenwood. Greenwood's coming through. He's not really ready yet. Same case with James, but James not really a striker. Rashford and Martial, either one of them gets injured, we're absolutely screwed. I think Martial, there was an injury with Martial in the beginning of the season as well, and now potentially Rashford. I think striking position right now, it was so thin. Any part of the starting 11 gets injured, anyone, whether it's defenders or midfielders or strikers, we're so thin. It's going to affect us immensely. The last bit of thing is what I didn't agree with Ollie at that time. When Rashford got injured, he brought on Lingard. I mean, come on, man. There's Gomez on the bench. Give that guy some chance, you know. That was kind of disappointing. Let's give it was like what, about 20 minutes to go or 30 minutes to go of the game. I can't really remember.
I kind of felt like that was Gomez saying, you know what, that's it now.
That's what I'm thinking. I think you look at Chong, his agent was pictured into offices.
Yeah, man.
Long back, we're potentially going to lose him. And Gomez,
in Milan seems to be signing all up.
Man.
Yeah, exactly. Getting a recommendation
to Milan, you know.
It's true.
Yeah, it'd be scary to lose one of our better prospects, you can say, Gomez and Tai Chong potentially. And I think Shane is right. I think that was pretty much the last nail in the coffin when he didn't come on, and he's probably thinking instead, if I was sitting there, I was like, you know what, I can go pretty much to a lot of clubs. And I've still got 10 years plus in my career. I can develop wherever I'm off.
Yeah.
Can't blame him.
No, I don't blame him either. I think that I don't know, because it's weird, because United we keep on hearing from the board, from Ollie, you know, about the future. And yes, to a certain extent, when you look at like Brandon Williams, who I think had a really good game. That's probably for me the highlight of that game was Brandon Williams had a Dom Traore in his pocket effectively. You know, so I was concerned about. Like anytime I see a Dom Traore against basically anyone, you know he's going to cause problems. But he actually dealt with Dom Traore quite well. So I think that certainly going forward, and I would certainly think even against Liverpool, I think that Brandon Williams should be starting ahead of Luke Shaw, no doubt about that whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, I think Luke Shaw's injured, isn't he? And we can't really play Ashley Young.
Again?
Yeah, I think he's injured, no?
I don't know if he's injured. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I thought that he was, because I mean, the only thing, I don't know what it is. I think generally, I think it might be because he's. I mean, of course, we haven't had difficult game per se in terms of. So I think, you know, Ollie was definitely gonna wanna play Brandon Williams in, like, you know, against Norwich, against those teams. But I don't know whether he trusts him enough to play him against bigger teams. I'm not sure of the incorrect experience.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about Brandon Williams, you're absolutely right. You know, Ollie's kind of done a great job in not only bringing him through, but also easing him in most part of the season. And you're right, against the so-called smaller teams, having Brandon Williams and getting their match experience is vital. And he doesn't probably quite trust him in the bigger teams. But he should have done the same thing with the likes of, say, James Garner, Tai Chong, and Angel Gomez. Just play them here and there, give him the match experience. I was reading a stat the other day around Brandon Williams. Apparently, he started 7 games or something like that, and we kept 6 clean sheets when he was on the lineup.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, man. That's right. Yeah.
And he's a proper United player, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's a Man United fan, isn't he, as well?
Exactly. And look, I'm a big fan of Williams, and I hope he starts against Liverpool. I think just throw him in there. Just see how he is. Just throw him in there.
If nothing else, yeah.
So I don't think realistically, I mean, I have no. I know this is bad saying as a United fan, but I actually have no expectations as a United fan going to Anfield. I know
that's
get a lot of hate for but you need to think. We need to think realistically. Even as the most delusional Manchester fan has to admit that Liverpool squad is better than our current squad. We can't debate that, let alone a squad that hasn't lost at Anfield since 2017 in the Premier League. So if we win, it will be one of probably the greatest Premier League wins. So but I would be happy with a point. To be honest. Or like not a thanking.
You lose 2-1. I'm all right. I think I don't want to say it, but I think we're in a situation where Liverpool is. I hate to say, and I was talking about it in my match preview today, that they are the best team in the world right now, and every team looking at their model should actually follow it, because they've done fantastic from the grassroots. You just look at their second string the other day against Everton, right? Oh my God, the way they played the same systems, it's going to be a tough day against Liverpool, I think. But we did nick a point off them at Old Trafford, and I think we were kind of toe to toe with them throughout the whole match. And although I did say we might lose 2-1, I have a sneaky feeling that we might just get away with a draw, like a 1-1 or something.
That's the thing, isn't it? You want to try and at least have some dignity. You don't want to get like beat down, which is what I've seen somewhere. Man United scared of getting a hide-in or something like that. I've seen written. And I was like, my gosh, man. But the thing is, that's the reality where we are now.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, we are the only team. I think United are the only team this season
taking points off
them. They've beaten including City, including Chelsea, and all the other squads. So ironically, if there's any team that will take points off Liverpool, it's going to be Manchester United. Not that I think it'll be significant from a title race point of view, because let's be frank, they won the title.
That's true.
I think if we do end up losing and Chelsea end up winning, we'll be like 8 points behind in the top 4. That's going to be a bit much. I think there's more to it than that at stake. I think the United players will know the Champions League football is important. Ollie knows that.
Absolutely.
And I just hope we just if we can nick a win, that'll be fantastic. And I was just thinking, we all know that Ollie plays the 4-2-3-1 system, right? But against a Liverpool team, the last game he played like a 5-3-2 formation, isn't it? Which was
that's right. That's true.
So it gives Klopp a bit of a headache, and that's what we want to see from Ollie going forward. Have a few more different formations, not just for the bigger teams. Against the small teams, even just rotate around, give the managers a bit of a headache. And I think Klopp, looking at the game, he might be a bit on two sides, thinking, will they play a 4-2-3-1 or 5-3-2 like they played? And that's something that we should be aiming to do for the opposition manager every week.
Well, I think even Klopp's words, because the fact that Klopp, I think, came out, I think there's some, coming out saying, Manchester, a bit of a dig, Manchester United, look at them, they defend against us, sort of type of thing. That already, for me, is sort of saying that, like, he kind of knows potentially how United are going to play. And he's concerned, because I do think that this season, although Liverpool have won their games, Liverpool have not really battered teams like they have in previous sorts of seasons, so like, it's been a 1-0 against Wolves and Nick. They just seem to just go over the line and get the win. So, I think our defense is decent enough, as long as Phil Jones is nowhere near the defense, it's decent enough to, keep them out of bay, So I think for me, the issue was just scoring, So, I mean, Alfred isn't playing. then I struggle to see potentially where United's goals are going to come from. That for me is the concern.
It depends on what Martial turns up as well, though. I feel because if Martial is talent-wise, he's got it all. We even see him score his header the other day, but I just, the guy is a picture of inconsistency, and obviously that emulates Man United as well as a whole. But you don't know what you're going to get from him on day to day. So what I don't want Ollie to do though is rush Rashford back, because he's played that many games anyway. So for me, it's a game where if he's injured and it's your back, then don't risk it. Don't risk forcing the issue. If there is, obviously I know it's Liverpool, but we've got to look at where we are on the table compared to them. You've got to look at this. Like you said, we're talking about we're happy for a draw. We're happy if you don't get smashed. We're happy. So realistically, what's the point in rushing Rashford if he's not ready? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd rather not risk Rashford for one game. I know it's a big game when he's potentially going to be out for a number of games. Imagine he rushes him in and he gets another injury.
Yeah,
you got the FA Cup running, you got the Europa League Cup coming up very soon.
Yeah,
you're risking Rashford for all these games. I think it's better not to rush him in and have faith in Greenwood. Start him. He has to start, surely. Surely Greenwood and Martial.
Yeah, we'll do. Well, he'll have Daniel James on the left, instead.
Yeah.
And Greenwood on the right.
He didn't have a great game against Wolves, but I agree.
But those are all learning curves, and I'm glad that Oli played him like almost with a full match.
Yeah,
and that he'll learn about Greenwood more during those games rather than games where Greenwood is fabulous.
Yeah, good point.
It's all learning curve, and that's what we need to do. We just need to get youngsters like that in, and we have a couple of them in our youth system, and just throw them out there. No pressure. If you play rubbish, you play rubbish. You learn from it.
I think one of the big, just going to Draco's point about being 9 points. I'm just looking at Chelsea's upcoming fixtures. They obviously are away to Newcastle, which I think isn't necessarily as easy as people think, especially because Chelsea usually tend to struggle against Newcastle. Then the following week, which is Tuesday, so Tuesday week coming, they've got like Arsenal at home, which potentially might be tough. Then they have Leicester City away. Then they have Manchester United at home, and then they have Spurs at home. So when you look at that fixture,
that gives me hope.
you could easily see. I'm not saying that they're bad, but that you could easily see them potentially, losing 3 of those games.
Yeah.
They could lose. We obviously need to win. They could lose to us. They could lose to Leicester away, and they could certainly drop points against Newcastle away. So even if we lose this game, I don't know.
Look at what we're saying. Look at what we're saying, man. It's mad, isn't it? It's just mad because like it's just from where we have been, and it doesn't feel like that long ago at all. But we're saying we can lose it. We can afford to lose. It's just crazy. I just think I just hearing it is just mad.
I agree. He's got a point. I think Chelsea will look at. I didn't even know that was the fixtures, by the way, which brings a bit of happiness in me because I think Chelsea will look at that fixture and see Newcastle as a must-win game. Because if they win that and United lose, they're 8 points ahead, which means they can afford to lose a couple of games, yet still be ahead of United almost, you can say. And that's, I don't know. I haven't seen much of Chelsea this season at all. I don't know how they're doing. Or
they're inconsistent, man.
Yeah. And we also got to bear in mind that they still have, I know we shouldn't be relying on other teams, but I just think when I look at Chelsea and I'm like, we at least know that we can take points off the bigger teams, right? We at least know we can do that, So I'm not worried when we play against Chelsea or Spurs or Arsenal like that. We can at least got something, especially if Bruno Fernandes comes in. But with Chelsea, like when they've still got to play, Liverpool. They've still got to play us, obviously. So that's obviously 3 points. I think they've also got to play Arsenal, Spurs, I think again, and a few Leicester and a few other games. So I think it's basically between us and them for fourth. That's what's going to come down to.
Yeah.
And
Do you not think Tottenham's going to come into it now that Harry Kane's injured?
was I
seconds to process that. He's right. They play better with a Harry Kane, isn't it? It was the last season he got injured, and they actually won a lot of their games with that.
I know. It's a mad one. It's a mad one.
Oh man, Joe Abraham actually says, "I don't think we have the consistency to get top four." This is coming from the Wolves game. I mean, a lot of it. I think you're absolutely right, and I think especially with injuries, I think he's right, and I think for the key, and we'll transition to this point, and we're into this because we're going to talk about Bruno Fernandes now. Is that, I guess it's the question actually: do people think if we sign Bruno Fernandes, and I think we will sign Bruno Fernandes, does that give us the spark to push on for the top four? Give us the consistency for top four. So open that to the comments and to you guys.
Go on, Draco. You go first, bro.
Cool. So I'm a bit of a fan of Bruno Fernandes. A little bit. I don't think he will be enough to come in and turn our season around because we still have major gaps in our team. I don't know how long McTominay's out for. Pogba, I've kind of written him off mentally in my head.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, and Bruno Fernandes coming in, yes, I think the creativity will be there, but still, if we get attacked enough, there's no proper CDM. Our defense is not been top shape. There's mistakes in there for sure, and I think the creativity side will be a bit more. I think it will give a bit of a boost, but I think over the coming weeks, we just need another signing, probably a specialist CDM. That's why I have nothing more to say around that. I just literally, I
think what you say is right there, though, Draco. In terms of specialist CDM, I think because Matic, people have been saying how well Matic has been playing. I just think he's he's just been steady. He's just not made any mistakes. Been in the right place at the right time. However, athleticism wise, he's no good for us at the minute, and I just think, he's done okay since he's come back. But then I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Okay, so imagine if there was someone there with athleticism and that can read the game as well, timing in the challenge, how much of a difference that would make. Because I'd like to say, like you said, great point with regards to Pogba as well in terms of writing him off mentally, because both injury wise and the fact that he's not. He's let's be honest, he's not in it himself mentally, as it were. So he's not, I think, like you said, write him off mentally. His heart's not in it. The only way I'd say there was a potential for Pogba to sort of have a change of heart was by the signings in January, if I'm honest, because United take that long to do certain deals in the summer. So, we could almost make a statement of intent now. Say, look, Paul, we really want you to stay. Look at these players that we're bringing in to support you to improve the overall first team 11, not just a squad, the first team 11. And I think that would go a long way. But it just depends, really. I think with like you said, again, to your point, Draco, it's Bruno on his own. Probably not enough to change the course of where we're going. Can he impact us up going into fourth position again? To your point, creatively, he can. He'll show you. If you remember when Paul Pogba made his second debut when he come over from Juventus, and he played in his first game, you could just see an air of quality above everything we had in the team. His quality, his swag on the ball, just his technique, his strength, everything was just miles above what we already had. In terms of Bruno, I don't know if he can have that type of overall impact, but definitely, as you said, going forward, he should, give us a lot going forward.
Yeah, and I'll add to that a little bit as well. I think if Pogba sees Bruno Fernandes in the team, it'll give him a bit of a lift as well. You look at right now, you put in Bruno Fernandes, if he gets marked out, then again, we're a bit screwed in matches, just like what happened with Pogba a lot of the time, where if he's in the lineup, he gets marked out. If we have Bruno and Pogba in that same starting 11, teams cannot mark both of them out. And I think hopefully Pogba comes in and sees, as Shane said, those signings are signings of intent that we want to go forward and we're not messing around this time. Stay. On the flip side, Pogba can be now thinking about, you know what, I'm going to leave in the summer. I'm not going to risk any injuries again. You got the Euros coming up as well. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
a good
sure
point.
if he comes back in quickly enough, and even if he does, how much of that will play in his head? Like, will he give it all in the matches? Because not only is he risking a potential injury, which will probably rule him out of the Euros, but also probably a transfer move. Because if he gets another major injury where he's out for months, will Real Madrid come in and take him still? Maybe they will still, but it kind of throws a bit of a spanner in the works.
Yeah, it does.
It's a shame. I mean, I would love to see a full throttle Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in that same lineup.
I do think Paul Pogba will play before the end of the season. I don't think. I'd be very surprised if I mean, the latest I heard is that, like, he, at the very least, he'll be back. He should be back early February. That's when we expect him to come back. McTominay, I think, is out for a bit longer. Actually, I think McTominay's going to be back towards the end of February. So
yeah, I think Pogba was given like 4 or 5 weeks, and then McTominay like 8 weeks, 8 or 9 weeks, wasn't it?
Exactly. So, and I would be interested to see. I mean, I would be interested to see if when Bruno Fernandes comes in, whether, because I really do want Ollie to go back to 4-3-3.
Yeah,
this 4-2-3-1 nonsense. I just
Yeah.
We're talking about CDMs. We do need a CDM, but at least in the interim, you can play Matic there. Matic has been at least okay when he's played for us recently, and then played Fred just in front, and then obviously Bruno Fernandes in more of the advanced attacking midfield position, and see how we go, at least until Pogba comes back, and then we can sort of tinker with things from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe make Pogba the more advancing attacking midfielder, have Bruno Fernandes be more of a box-to-box type sort of player, and then you can bring in the likes of Fred and stuff like that and rotate.
To rotate around, isn't it? And players can get a bit of a rest. It's a lot of games, like 50+ games a season. And Rashford, I think, going back onto Rashford, part of that reason, he's been played almost every game, isn't he? I can't remember him not being in the lineup, or whether he wasn't in the lineup on the bench, but ended up coming on anyway. I think it was just a build up towards, and it just snapped at the end. We need squad depth, we need rotation. As I said, I'm a huge central midfielder fan. I want to see James Garner come in, at least be on the bench, play the odd 10 minutes or 15 minutes, ease him in. I would love to see that kid. And I think I'll be watching the Benfica Sporting match tonight, right? 9 o'clock? Is it 9:15 tonight? I'll be definitely watching that, because
make sure there's an injury.
If there's an injury to Bruno Fernandes in that game, I'm like, oh my god,
yeah, that would be D-Lo.
That'll be it. Yeah, that'll be it.
With where you said, I think, is it Joel Abraham he's put down there? Obviously, left back, CDM, central midfielder, right winger, and a striker needed in the summer. I don't think we need a left back, just purely because of, and I believe that Man United now, they were looking at a left back, but I don't believe they are now because of Brandon Williams. CDM for sure, central midfielder. That's probably where you're looking at. Obviously Bruno Fernandes, but he's more of an attacking player. But Samari, who's apparently looking at us or Chelsea, but right winger for sure. If we get Champions League, then there's options on the table. I'm not going to say the name, but there's options.
Sancho.
There's options.
Say it.
But definitely a striker, because if nothing else, Martial is just so inconsistent in terms of performances. I understand goals is, it's hard to come by, especially in the Premier League. But in terms of performance-wise, he's so inconsistent. You can be there one game and not the next. So for me, I agree with what Joel would said there, probably apart from maybe left back.
For me, going back on that, left back, I agree with Shane. I think Brandon Williams and Luke Shaw, I think they can rotate around. I think I will add a centre back to that list, though, because outside of Maguire and Lindelof, Tuanzebe, I'm not sure what's happening with him.
Yeah, true.
Did defender on the bench, Phil Jones.
Bai will be back. Should be because I think last I checked, Bai might actually back by next week. So because he's playing with under 23s, I don't think he's going to have to go against Liverpool, but he probably will be back for the midweek game. Antoine Sabi, I think, might be back the week after that, apparently.
I think with Bai, I was reading an article about a week ago that a lot of us have missed, actually. Apparently, he's not going to get a right to work permit this time around because he hasn't played enough games. There's a percentage of games that you need to play.
Yeah, that's right, actually.
And he hasn't played enough, so he might be a potential that and his contract expires this summer, no?
He just signed a new one. Reports are just coming through. He's just signed a new one.
Oh wow. But he's injury prone. Rojo again, same thing. I think I'll definitely, and we got a world class defender in Phil Jones in the bench. I think we need a centre back. I like centre back definitely. CDM for sure. Again, I don't know. I have no idea about Sumari. I've kind of had a look at him here and there. I have no idea how good he is, but I'll take everyone's word for it that he's pretty decent. Central midfielder. I think we need probably a couple more, especially if Pogba leaves.
We need quality, man. Definitely quality. Yeah. Going back to that Samari point, I genuinely, I've only seen him play 3 times live: Valencia, Chelsea, and against PSG. Obviously, I've watched highlights of him, as some do, some don't. But I genuinely, he reminds me of Pogba, man. He really does. Really, apart from he's got a lot of work rate. He's very powerful. He's like 6'2" as well. Very powerful kid. I say kid, he's 20. He's also very good in the pass in terms of the short range passing. He's displayed some long ranging passes. The only problem is at the moment, I'd say for him is consistency wise, because if I'm watching like a game, like I wasn't watching him specifically. I was just watching the game. But he stood out, certainly stood out against Valencia and PSG. Chelsea, not so much. And some of the highlights, you know, when some people watch highlights of a player and it's all the best highlights of doing this, that, and the other. I tend to just watch the general highlights of games with him highlighted. And I think one of the things that he doesn't do a lot is go forward enough. But then he's seen as a CDM stroke central midfielder. But his work rate, man, he works super hard. He reads the game, intercepts the ball very, very well when he's on form. But again, the only problem is another young player, man. Do we need another young player, especially going to the core of our team? I don't know. I don't know with that one.
Fine. Just before we move on to Ashton Minter, so just to move on, I think the last point I put into the comments as well. Do you think, just like yes or no, do you think that if we sign Bruno Fernandes, that we'll either make top 4 or win the Europa League? What do you guys think?
No.
Yeah, no. I'll say no twice. Yeah, no.
Okay.
He will give up. Okay, yeah, one word. Sorry, my bad. No.
No,
unfortunately not.
Unfortunately, okay. I mean, I guess that just shows just where we are as a club for a season, to be honest. So, because I generally think that this has probably been one of the worst. The fact that we still have a chance of getting top 4, and yet we have one of the worst points. What's our worst points tally since the 1990s or something? And yet we're thinking we still have a chance of top 4. That tells you how bad sans Liverpool the quality of the league actually is. How close we are. Okay, so let's quickly move on to Ashley Young. So this was interesting. Very, very, very interesting. What do you guys think? I mean, I said in my post before, in my videos I posted before, about how I felt that I know a lot of United fans great, Ash Young out of the club, Deadwood FC gone. The only thing, and fair enough, although I don't think he played particularly bad when he's come on this season as an additional option. The only thing I would say is that I do feel that what he did regarding forcing a move out of Manchester United, if Paul Pogba and other players like were doing that, they'd have been slated by the media. But and bearing in mind, Ashley Young was club captain. Okay, so you've got your club captain who's basically forcing a move because he essentially said, "I'm not playing until I basically go to Inter." I just think that's a little bit. I'm happy that he went, and to be honest, Inter Milan could win a title. They could win the Champions League. So, from a player point of view, it was good. But I do think there is an element of disrespect that I'm surprised that no one in the media has actually picked up upon, or even United haven't picked up on at all. But let me know.
They're just jumping on the bandwagon though, in terms of what the Man United fans were saying about Ashley Young, aren't they? In terms of in terms of where we've been saying, he's. Some people love him. Some people, people don't love him. Some people hate him. Some people just like, whatever. But I just, for Ashley Young, it's a shame. The reason I say it's a shame because he, not forgetting in the last World Cup, he got voted the best left back of the World Cup, man, because obviously he played left back for England. So he was in the team. He was in the team in the World Cup, man, for left back. So he's done a job. Yeah, man. Yeah. You need to check that out, man. I know. So he done a job for us at United. But every single time he was lacing up boots for England, starting, I'm like, you ain't got a clue, man. There's got to be a better left back in the whole country. But no, it's a shame because obviously he was a right winger / left winger, which he done well when he played for us there. But when he went back to right back and left back, he's just it's a shame for him because that's not his fault. He just got put there, I suppose, and was a willing participant. And as you say, as club captain, and then say essentially spitting out his dummy. It is an ounce of disrespect, and but then why he was he like that? Because I've never heard any stories like that from Ashley Young before at all. And now all of a sudden, because he's about to leave, he's storming out of training and all that jazz. So something's obviously happened there where I kind of he like Phil Jones. Phil Jones didn't want to have his testimonial because he didn't think anyone would turn up. I think there's a degree of that with Ashley Young as well, unfortunately.
For me personally, Ashley Young, we all know he's not probably the best of players technically. Certainly not in the last 4 or 5 years. But what we what we can guarantee is that he does put everything out there on the pitch. He as Shane said, he was a winger, then shoved into left back and right back, and never kind of spat his dummy out at that time. He just accepted and participated. I don't believe the media at the moment, like whether he stormed out or not. I think there is a deeper issue in the club, especially on the background, like at the board level, and probably stemmed from there. We had situations where Herrera came out not long back and said that United, they didn't offer him a contract quick enough, and the fact that he didn't feel wanted until the last minute, or one of those somewhere along the line.
Sorry to interrupt, Drake. Well, I think one of the problems is that for some reason Manchester United, I'll address some of the comments because there have been a few interesting comments that I'm into. But the big problem with Manchester United is that they always seem to allow contracts to run down. So rather than actually, like, obviously, like a lot of players, like you renew your contract. So, for example, Bayes now signing 2 year, fine. They allow players to run down their contracts into the final year with the hopes, because that's affordable and then try and negotiate with them to sign your contract, which is stupid. So they did that with Ander Herrera last year. Even Fellaini, you've got like obviously Tahith Chong now is in his last. Gomez there's so many nice players.
Even you can add even De Gea on that list as well, isn't it? It was going on for ages, and everyone knew that how good of a keeper he is. Just give him the money, whatever. But yeah, I think Ashley Young being a club captain, I think there's more to it than that. What happened in the background? I would love for him to come out and just say it, like what exactly happened. Probably will never happen, but I want to get some sort of insight as to what exactly happened in the background for a club captain who's never complained. Whatever amount of years that he was here, to suddenly turn around and say, "Oh, I'm not going to play anymore. I'm leaving." I think he was pictured in Milan. The video came out today. He was in Milan this morning having his medical. But yeah, I mean, we're not in huge amount of trouble, him leaving. But I think the leadership he brings in, that's going to be a bit of a miss.
Well, Ollie clearly did want him to go, and even though, and I know, also I'll address some of these comments in a second, guys. So hold on, but even though, like I said this about like Lukaku, like Fellaini, and a lot of the in quote deadwood players, is that I have no problem with United, because I do think a lot of ways they've got a lot of, even Lingard have got a lot of stick and abuse, and more so than they could have. But the reality is that, like, yes, okay, everyone said move them on, move the deadwood out, but you also have to replace them. And the
of course, yeah.
Wards doesn't seem to. So Ashley Young is still he's a fullback now. So the fullback. So right now we only have, in terms of fullback positions, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, and now obviously Brandon Williams. Thankfully.
And Dalot, don't forget.
I don't know if he's still injured or not. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, 2 of the 4 of those fullbacks are injury prone, isn't it? Luke Shaw and Dalot.
2 teams are injury prone. So essentially, potentially could have 2 fit-in Williams, who's literally just stepped up from the youth, and Wan-Bissaka, who I think at some point is going to get injured, given the amount of actually been playing. So, and most teams.
Ethan Laird, is another one who's like. He's like Brandon Williams, but just on the right side, if I'm honest. I think he'll surprise people when he comes in.
Yeah.
Will look out for him, man. Ethan Laird, man, he's a good right back, man. He's been injured though, unfortunately. Again, so another injury.
Let's just quickly address some of these common questions. So first into Draco. So just Joe Abraham's like, what about Bruno and Samara? Is top 4 still on? Did we get Bruno and Samara?
No. I mean, it'd be fantastic, but we're so light. We're just 1 injury away from any position to be having a bit of a disaster. Like, you look at striking position, Rashford injured, and now we're in trouble. In the defense position, any one of these guys getting injured. Imagine Maguire getting injured, which came close, isn't it? It was quite close.
Well, he did. Yeah.
Imagine seeing Phil Jones in the starting lineup for the next 3-4 weeks.
Please, no.
I think we need a bit of depth. I think we'll push for the top 4 if we sign both of them. But remember, it's not just about signing them. It's Joel Abraham. It's also about bedding them into the culture, the league, the system. In terms of fitness, they should be up and running. But in terms of the whole tactic aspects of it, it's not going to just click straight away. It will take time. But no, I think still we're going to struggle for top 4. I genuinely believe we need quite a bit of depth. That's sorry to be negative.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's true.
Ashi92 says, no disrespect, mate. Our fans abused him, so why
are
slagging him off? I agree that the fans did abuse him. I think my point about the disrespect, I think, was more so in relation to Pogba. I have no issue with what Ashley Young did, and I think it's well within his rights to. I think my issue was the fact that with Paul Pogba, when Paul Pogba, a lot of Paul Pogba's talk has come from his agent, not necessarily from himself. And he still has, as a professional, still come out and play football games, etc. Paul Pogba has never said, right, you know what, I'm not going to play for the team at all. Like, he was involved in pre-season. Yes, he's been injured, and a lot of fans that go, oh, he's injured, that means he's not going to score. But the point I'm trying to make is that, I feel that what Ashley Young did, even though he's well in the rights to, you could argue was more disrespectful than what Paul Pogba's done. And yet, Paul Pogba, as soon as Paul Pogba comes back to the squad, if United lose a game, he'll be the scapegoat. So that's the issue. It's like at the very least be fair. True. Be fair. That's my point. So not because I think that Ashley Young isn't well within rights to say, you know what, this club is run like a joke, and basically should move on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I agree with that. I would love for Ashley Young to come out and say exactly what happened. For a captain to abandon ship halfway through the season, it's got to be something more.
Literally.
It's got to be something more that we don't know.
I agree. There's better left backs, but he's 20 times better than that garbage. Sure.
Oh, is that actually?
What do you guys think about that?
I disagree with that. I think Shaw is very good. He's had a lot of injuries. I think he doesn't keep his fitness up. He's gonna be a bit chubbier. And I think you got to question his mentality.
Yeah,
he's only
true.
23. Shaw is only 23, right? It's like he's been here for years.
Really?
Because he came in when he was 18, didn't he?
Yeah.
Is he only 23?
Premier League debut at 16, I think.
So I suppose when this year he'll be turning 24, won't he?
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be. But he's not old. If like some people think he was like 27, 28, he's not that old. So
I think if this year he looks after his body very well, he's still yet to hit his peak. And I think Luke Shaw is a good player. There's a good player in there, but I think mentally, I think there's something not clicking on him. He's got the abilities. I think ever since the injury, he hasn't been the same.
Yeah, and Mourinho as well. Slagging him off for a whole year. Yeah,
he ran him to the ground, isn't it?
But then he started playing in quite a well. I mean, obviously he played actually young, but he started playing. He started playing quite a bit. Mourinho started playing Shaw quite a bit. He did seem to start to. After he goaded him, he then. This is the thing. It's weird because after Mourinho did goad him, you did actually see Shaw come back slimmer, thinner, and actually playing. I think towards the end of Mourinho's reign, you could argue Luke Shaw's probably one of the better Manchester United players.
He got player of the season, didn't he?
Yeah. He did, exactly. Yeah. So I don't think Shaw. Yes, he's been injured again, but I don't think he's necessarily played particularly like a standout performance.
I think if you look at what Brandon Williams does compared to Luke Shaw, you can see that Brandon Williams affects the game both offensively and defensively. So where you can say, offensively, their right back needs to look out for him. Defensively, obviously, he stopped Adama Traore, a couple of times as well. So I think he's affecting the game. Like that's why I said Matic. Matic is he's done well, but he's not done anything marvelous. That's why I say if there was someone with athleticism and could read the game and has good timing in the challenge, then you'd see the real impact of that specialised CDM possession as well.
Fair enough. I think I'm getting a lot of comments on this Ashley guy. By getting 2 years of joke, if you rate him, I don't know why. Man has been injured and done nothing. Yes, Eric Bailly is very injury prone. I've got no doubt about that. So however, it's realism here. It's one, after spending 80 million on Maguire, are we really going to sign another centre back? Probably not. So when you look at the centre backs we have right now, we have Eric, we have obviously Maguire, Lindelof, Eric Bailly, Phil Jones, and Twansibi. So that's 5. We're not going to sign another centre back, realistically. So out of those 5, then you need at least 4 centre backs, in my opinion, at least to sort of compete. Chris Smalling, I guess, is still on loan, but it looks like he wants to sort of stay at Roma. So he's gone.
Rojo's injured.
Sorry?
Rojo's injured.
Rojo wants to go as well.
Yeah.
So you've essentially got those 5. And the way I sort of see it is that, would you rather give Eric Bailly a contract extension, or would you rather let him go and rely on Phil Jones? Because that's essentially what it comes up to. So I'd rather have 3 or 4 games of a solid Eric Bailly. You're going to get at least a couple of points from him.
Yeah.
Than Phil Jones even playing 2 games.
I also think that maybe giving him a contract is a cheaper option than letting him go and investing in a defender.
Yeah, exactly.
Because see, Rojo is not good enough. He's most likely going to go. Phil Jones, I think I've talked about him enough. I don't know. Twansibi, I would love to see a lot more of him. I think Lindelof has got loads of mistakes in him. He's a good defender, but he's got a lot of mistakes in him. He needs more time, I think.
But Lindelof, how long has Lindelof been in now? Three seasons.
Yeah,
it's his 3rd season.
I think was it Bailly and Lindelof was signed in the same.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I think unfortunately for Bailly, he was more injury prone. I think Bailly was. I remember watching Bailly on the first few months when he came in. He was phenomenal. It's like wow. I remember. But he's just been unlucky. I think there's a lot of luck that's needed. I think Luke Shaw has been very unlucky with injuries. I think Bailly has been very unlucky with injuries. 2 years contract. I think it's more of like a board. decision rather than probably a fan decision. I think we all know that Bailly is not good enough. He needs to go. But if you let him go, you're going to have to invest. And I think it's a cheaper option to give him a bit of a contract.
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't say that Bailly isn't good enough. I think Bailly is a good defender. It's just that he's injury prone.
Yeah.
So when he's played centre back, he's been perfectly fine. I think as a good defensive option. But I don't think that he's just, if he comes back, like so he's rumored to come back, for example, next week against Burnley because he's playing in the under-23s right now and stays fit at the end of the season and has an awesome. Because for me, Lindelof. The Lindelof and Maguire pairing just doesn't seem to work. And when Smalling was here, Smalling and Lindelof still looked better than Lindelof and Maguire. There just seems to be some sort of, they just don't seem to work together for some reason.
They don't complement each other. Your centre-back pairings need to complement each other, don't they? And I think that's why the couple of games that Tuanzebe played with Maguire looked really good as a partnership.
Yeah. Need a bit of space,
yeah, that's it. He complements Maguire. So it's crucial at your centre back positions where they are a pair. They are if you like, yin and yang, so to speak. They've got to complement each other, and I don't think, as you said, Draco, Lindelof and obviously Maguire, and you said as well, G, they don't really look that good together, unfortunately.
I'm going to take this last comment from Ashley.
Ashley as well, yeah, he's on fire, isn't he?
Calling me out here, so he's
got a lot of things to say about United. He's a huge United fan. Whenever I'm on the Discord with him,
yes,
he's like,
Ashley, yes, Ashley.
Go ahead, G.
How did you say Pogba's been less disrespectful? He has come out and said he needs a new challenge. His agent is slighting the team, the legend Saxon. Please, Pogba don't care. Because two things. Because one, Pogba said that in the summer. He said that once the song, it said you need a new challenge. Okay. And yes, okay, it's agent, but to be honest, Milan slags off United. He was even slagging off United with Haaland as well. And to be honest, a lot of the stuff that Real says that I read, I don't think is necessarily untrue. Some of the stuff that he said, especially regarding when the Haaland thing fell through, about it was leaked that Milan Riola was like a money grabber and blah blah blah, the rest of it. And he was like, listen, he just wants to go to Dortmund. That was it. And Manchester United just need to just suck up because and realize that they're disorganized, which I don't think was necessarily untrue, because you see from the Bruno Fernandes saga, our transfer negotiations probably is an absolute joke,
Yeah, it's embarrassing, man.
They probably started the negotiation last summer, are just ending it now. Hence all the
that. I just think the Pogba. But the thing for me with the Pogba thing is that if Pogba had said that, and then Pogba then said and refused and said, you know what, I'm not even going to bother turning up for training. I'm going to protest and figure himself out. That would be a different thing. But this was before pre-season. He still went to pre-season. He still played for United. He still played up until the point that he got injured. And he played, almost rushed himself to come back because he wants to play when he comes back. So if he just said, protested and forced him, that would have been different. But he still played, So that's where I think it's different, So players can say things, but, there's still a degree of professionalism.
Yeah.
In the case of Ashley Young, he literally refused to play. He said, I'm not playing.
Difference, yeah.
I'm not, and you're being paid at the end of the day. You're being paid to play. And the fact that you can be like, no, I'm not playing for the club at all, despite the fact you're on 150,000 a week. That for me is the difference anyway.
I think you nailed the head there with the nail. So, Pogba we all know that he's professional. He's been professional. Despite what he said, or whatever his agent has come out and said, I think the real cancer in that sort of relation is Raiola. I don't think he's good for clubs. He's good for his clients because he gets them the moves and the money. But for clubs doing business with him, I think he's not probably. I hate him. Pogba actually never came out and did what Ashley Young has done, which was to refuse to put himself forward when he was fit, refused to train apparently, and kind of threw his toys out of the pram. Pogba has never done that, and I think Pogba's professionalism is really good. He gets a lot of stick from the press, compared to say someone like Jesse Lingard. But I think if Pogba over this January window is so important, if we get the right player or players in, and Pogba sees what's happening on the field, and we get that top four, maybe there might be a bit of a change in his attitude, because Pogba comes on and looks around him. Who's the world class? You can't count De Gea. He's in goal. Who's the world class? And you sold him a project 3 years ago, and clearly United have not lived up to it.
Yeah.
And that's probably why he wants to move, because career short. He's 26. I don't think he's.
I can't blame him.
I would love for him to stay, because to have Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in the same lineup, man, that's going to give a lot of problems to the opponents, regardless of who else is on the pitch.
You only need to add one player as well, don't you, to that midfield? Is that
Murray? Yeah.
I think you bang on there, because but it's will he
So I
look to no yeah, we can see will he look to, is that even in Pogba's mindset? As Ollie put that in his mindset at the minute, as he said to Pogba, look, we're trying to get this player in. If we get this player, and if we get that player, this is showing our intent. This is why we're going and getting these players specifically. And Ollie did mention 2 players, didn't he? For January. So it'd be good. It would be good, but I just, as you said, like even Lukaku sort of refused to play and train in pre-season as well. So, Pogba has remained professional in that way. I just think because he's one of those big, egos and whatnot, like Becks and whatnot, they're just easy targets, aren't they? So, they sort of like put themselves out there. Yeah, that's it.
Media will make money out of him. So whatever he does wrong, it will just be ballooned, 10 falls over. They'll make money. It's just all true. But yeah, I absolutely agree. I think hopefully Oli does sign a couple more players on top of potential Bruno Fernandes, because we don't have the depth. I don't think one player will be enough.
No, definitely not.
He'll give a bit of a boost. Bruno Fernandes will definitely give boost to everyone, inside and outside of the club, with the fans and etc. But I think realistically speaking, we need a second signing as a minimum, given our injuries at this current stage. And you never know, we might get another injury against Liverpool, because it's never one of those slow-paced games. It's very feisty games. You never know. If we have another player injured, God forbid, we might see Phil Jones and Jesse Lingard starting week in, week out.
Well, speaking of Liverpool,
no, thank you.
Just to move the podcast on, let's actually go and talk about essentially United versus Liverpool now. And I'm actually going to do like a combined 11 actually tomorrow at some point, hopefully.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
It's sort of a stream, but I'm
looking 11.
And I'm actually thinking like, who from United actually gets into this combined 11, because people wise, based on the season, I'm sorry, it's Alisson over De Gea. Defensive, Van Dijk is automatically in that combined 11. You could possibly make an argument for Harry Maguire, because Gomez and
Matip.
We don't.
Lovren,
Lovren's definitely have a Lovren. So right back, Trent, Wan-Bissaka. It's going to probably be Trent. Left back, I love Brandon Williams, but Andy Robertson is possibly the best left back in Europe, let alone the league. I don't know many better left backs, to be honest, than Andy Robertson.
Yeah, he is very good.
Midfield, if Pogba was fit, he might get in there.
Yeah.
But he's not. So what, with Matic and Fred? It's just you're looking at it like.
You know what you should do?
Go on, Shane.
No, I was going to say, you see that with our midfield, should do a league comparison in terms of other teams. So see how far down our central midfield actually comes, because You got Leicester, their central midfield better than ours.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got obviously Chelsea as well. Arsenal, Ozil's coming back onto some form, so maybe I don't know, but it'd be interesting to see our central midfield compared against the rest of the leagues, basically as well.
Yeah, forget Liverpool and City. Just look at Leicester and Chelsea.
I didn't bother mentioning City because there's no point.
Yeah.
Us
With the
against
second
City's
string
midfield.
game.
Yeah.
Most midfields. I mean, looking at Leicester's, when you've got like Ndidi, Madison, and I forget
Tillmans
like that.
Tillmans,
That
yeah.
would be better than our midfield.
Yeah.
So Arsenal's midfield.
Even Chowdhury that comes off Leicester all the time as well.
I still think even Arsenal's midfield, when they've got Torreira and Xhaka playing there, and Caberes and a few others as well. So we have our midfield right now is just Matic and Fred. That's it.
Pretty much.
Look, that lineup, that midfield thing can change straight away. If Bruno Fernandes come in, he gets in automatically, given the season he's had. But I want to include Wan-Bissaka. I think Trent is fantastic, but Wan-Bissaka defensively, it's really hard. That's probably the only position I will kind of like think hard. I like Wan-Bissaka a lot.
Yeah,
no, for me, defenders have to defend first.
Yeah.
And Trent, he's suspect defensively, always has been. Going forward, Wan-Bissaka doesn't hold a candle to Trent. But defensively, listen, when you've got ex-pros like Martin Keown, Alan Shearer, and Lineker saying he's probably the best one-on-one defender in Europe now, at the age of 21. That's no means feat, man. And he bearing in mind he started off as a winger, but he's naturally gifted at obviously winning the ball and timing the challenge. So he's 21, man, and he's already that good. So for me, you can't teach being that good a defender. That's natural. That's why Trent Alexander-Arnold ultimately would lose his place to Wan-Bissaka in England, I think, because you can't teach that. Do you know what I mean? I'm getting a call for some reason. I don't know how that worked when I was I've got airplane mode on, so I don't know how that worked. Sorry about that. Anyway,
Should we go to the front three now?
I believe
exactly.
Better than Kevin De Bruyne says football fan fever.
What's that? Oh, Billy Pogba is.
I don't know whether I would go that far yet. I think it's consistency. I think at the end of the day. It's coming in the comments. Good question, guys. What do you think Bruno can do if he plays next to Pogba? I see them making a massive shit. And what do you think will get Bukayo Samar? That's pretty live.
I think.
Draco.
Okay, if it is Bruno and Pogba in as one of the two of the three, I think there'll be a lot of. I think link up play will be the most key. Like who to go for. Which one should go forward and which one to sit back just a little bit. I think that will be the key. If both of them keep bombing forward, you're going to have only one central midfielder just sticking around. And if someone like Somari comes in, who's a specialist, as Shane said, who's athletic and can move around, very mobile, like a Kante, only if you have someone like that, then you can allow Bruno and Pogba to go forward as much as possible. If we do not have that, then that link breaks straight away and Tim can hit us on the break. Both are creative, both have shots in them, so they can take long shots as well. I think both are talented players, and I would love to see Bruno Fernandes in the same lineup. But to get the best out of those two, I think especially CDM is a must. That link that kind of cleans up everything behind them.
Fair enough. Back to United versus Liverpool. There's some comments. I think a lot of people are saying Rashford could probably be there. Maguire, as you said, Wan-Bissaka. I think there's a reason. Those are probably the only three players I think I agree with you guys with Draco that could potentially sniff it. And even then, it's tough because it's not. There isn't that much in. Trent and Wan-Bissaka, and I think a lot of it will just depend on if in a combined 11, a team that they play against. If you want to sort of go out and dominate a team, then Trent has to be there. If you want to sort of hold on to something, then Wan-Bissaka sort of is there. I think midfield, there's not really any options, and then the front three, it's really only Rashford that I can see possibly ahead of Firmino. But even that again is still a
debatable, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
you see with Firmino, I want to see Rashford ahead of Firmino, but Firmino is it's a false nine, isn't it? And it fits their system. Rashford is not a false nine. He's either on the left or right coming in. I have never thought of Rashford as a number 9. I don't think
no.
Number 9. And would you put Rashford ahead of Mane and Salah?
No.
Realistically, Rashford will have to take one of those positions. Because false 9, Firmino is hands down. I think over Martial as well. And I think that's what Ole be trying to do with Martial, just to link up play from the front with Martial and press. That's probably where I'll kind of debate whether Rashford gets in or not. I don't think Rashford will get in to replace Firmino because totally different players if you're playing a false 9. I think if Rashford comes...
Do we look to positions or do we look to just players? That's what I always say. When you're doing the combined thing or a best one, are we looking at personnel or are we looking at like within a system, so to speak? Because obviously Firmino is false 9, isn't he? Hands down, that'd be the case. But I think if it's just 3 bodies up there,
then Rashford,
it'd be Rashford over Firmino. But like you said, you'd have to then determine: are you just playing, personnel, or is it going to be? It just depends, I suppose, doesn't it? But like you say, you said with Trent Alexander-Arnold, Wan-Bissaka thing, it depends on how you're playing. But okay, so here's one for you: Wan-Bissaka or Trent Alexander-Arnold. If you could buy one, which one would it be?
Trent.
That's the both of you.
I think Trent, because he delivers set pieces as well. So you get 2 for 1, isn't it?
2 for 1.
I think that a lot of that is coached though, and I think I feel like Wan-Bissaka can potentially be very good. Even in recent games, he has been going a bit more forward and putting balls into the box. The 2 issues I've seen are, 1, the frequency, and I think that just comes with coaching and time. The 2, even when he has delivered a ball into the box, it's like there need to obviously be players there to attack it, to actually go for it. And a lot of the time when I'm seeing us actually deliver crosses, whether that's Williams or Wan-Bissaka, there's no one really there. There's no, so it looks bad because it's like, it's a wasted cross. But is it a wasted cross, or is it that there's no United player, front man, willing to gamble to actually go for the ball?
Yeah, and having a different sort of striker helps. I think Haaland would have been a good striker up there. He's tall, he can head the ball. Just crossing in. I think Martial, I can't remember last time Martial scored from a header or came close with a header. Rashford is okay, I guess. James. So those crosses are effectively is gone to waste unless you're whipping it in, which
which is harder to get to.
So having a different sort of striker up front, whether it's a Haaland type or whether it's Haaland or someone else, those crosses will probably come more on fruition than same with corners. I can't remember last time we scored from corners actually.
Didn't Martial score from ahead of the other day as well? Like last couple of games, can't remember which one it was.
That was from a Wan-Bissaka cross, I think.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was when I was Castle.
That's the first headed goal I've seen Martial score though. And the first assist I think Wan-Bissaka got as well.
Yeah. It was a good cross. I remember that now.
Yeah. Like to see it more though. Once in a season, it's not really that's not really anything to shout about once a season, but it's still better than none, I suppose.
Yeah.
So going on to, because we talked about obviously combined 11, going on to predicted a score line. Before we go into predict a score line, who do you think will play, and how do you think United should set up against Liverpool? Because remember before, he actually set up. He didn't actually do, I think, 4-2-3-1. He played 3-5-2. I think. how do you think we should set up? How do you think Ollie should set up? And then who do you think should be in? Now, I'll let the guys in the comments, and obviously you guys here.
For me, I think the way we played against them at Old Trafford with that 5-3-2 or 3-5, whatever you want to call it, worked really well. I think we should stick to that. I think we do have the personnel for it. Just about. Not sure about the extra centre back. It probably has to be Phil Jones coming in with Maguire and Lindelof. But if that has worked before, I don't see any reason as to why we shouldn't give it another try. Up front, obviously, with Rashford being potentially out injured, you got Mason Greenwood and Martial are the only sort of sole attacking forwards. James is there as well, but I think with James, I think for this game at least keep him on the bench and have him as an impact sub. Because Liverpool will be pressing us so much, and if James was to come on in the last 30 minutes or so, Liverpool keep an eye on him. In terms of central midfielders, obviously we're going to see Matic and Fred. That's a guarantee in there. I think Pereira might play as a 3 central midfielders. I don't think Mata would play. I don't think he'll have the legs to play another game in a space of a week. But I genuinely believe Oli will probably line up with. It will surprise me if Oli goes for 4-2-3-1 against a rampant Liverpool side. I think he's going to set up quite defensively, trying to hit them on the counter. That's probably what's in my opinion.
The only thing I'd say with I agree in terms of the formation because it worked well last time, but it's just that we haven't played it since. I don't think that'd be my only thing. But obviously these guys, they breathe football, don't they? So you'd imagine that they try different systems. If I'd agree in terms of we're more having to look at stopping Liverpool than maybe beating them. Unfortunately, just being honest. But I'd play a back 3 as you said, Draco. I'd have Maguire and Lindelof. Obviously, as 2 of the 3, and I'd have Wan-Bissaka playing as a sweeper in between those 2 because he's not the most confident in terms of on the ball, and for speed, he'll catch any of their front 3. Winning the ball, again, he's probably the best one-on-one defender, and that's not just me saying that. In terms, I'd play Diego Dallo as a wing back, and I'd keep Brandon Williams as well in there as well, and then you've only got really Fred and Matic there, haven't you? And then we keep attacking. I'd say keep it compact in terms of when we're defending, and Fred and Matic just hold down that middle third, and then possibly keep 3 lads up top maybe, or mix it up. But I wouldn't try and nullify our attacking 3. I'd try and keep 3 up top if we could. Just as so we're always a threat, because I feel like our forwards will score. So, but for me, that depends on if Rashford starts or not. Though I'd say.
Great.
That's a fair point actually. Going for it actually against Liverpool, keeping the front 3 locked up there. Fair play. I think it'd be lovely to see that. I think if we can get an early goal against Liverpool, I think we can hold on to something. If we lose an early goal, then it's going to be a long 90 minutes.
Yeah, it is.
What I've seen actually from watching Liverpool this season is that if you nullify their fullbacks, obviously there's a lot more to the squad, but if you nullify their fullbacks, then that's the key. So, and I think if we do play 3-5-2, I think that if you're going to have, I think actually that you maybe push Brandon Williams up in that sort of formation, so that you play obviously Maguire, Lindelof. I'm thinking who else could be the right centre. I just feel Brandon Williams in the back 3. I'm not overtly, so maybe Wan-Bissaka as the right sort of right back in that circumstance. Brandon Williams go up the field. Dallo, as you said, if he obviously is coming back, and obviously you've got your Fred, Matic. It's probably going to be Pereira, I would imagine, coming into that midfield, unless Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to start playing Angel Gomez So I can't think of any other midfielder coming into that. Maybe Lingard. You know, it's going to be one of Lingard or Pereira. And then obviously up top, assuming that Rashford plays, Rashford and Martial. But I think for me, the key is nullifying, you know, can they, especially Williams, can they nullify Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander from delivering balls into the box? And can, you know, Harry Maguire and Lindelof and even Wan-Bissaka, can they stop Sadio Mane, which I think they can, because I think people forget that the last couple of times that we played Liverpool, especially Old Trafford, I don't think, you know, aside Liverpool, they did score last minute this season. We were actually ahead, I think, we're winning 1-0.
Yeah, we was winning 1-0, yeah.
And it was like Adam Lallana out of nowhere, you know, so and even the previous season I think was 0-0. So we've got a shot, we've got a chance.
It's not apart from the 3-1 loss against when Mourinho's last game, was it? Over the last few years, it's just been literally one goal in it. It's either been a draw or 2-1. It's never a free scoring game.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a tight game, but I think Liverpool being home, the way that they are playing, and our injury problems, etc., I think they're just probably going to be 2-1. It's not going to be much in it. It's not going to be much in it at all. Again, that changes everything if Rashford plays. I think if Rashford plays up top, hopefully he's fit, then it could be a different outcome, because the way Rashford is playing now, the form that he's in, I think he bagged Trent quite a few times in his pocket. I think only if Rashford plays, I think we'll get a chance. Adil, I agree with that. I don't quite agree with him saying United to win 2-1. Although I would love it, but 2-1 to Liverpool, I think is going to be my predicted scoreline. I think, yeah.
Okay, Shane, what's your predicted scoreline?
Oh man, I want to be positive, man. I want to be positive. I do, but but it's the realist in me, man. I can't see us getting a win.
We're gonna be real. That's what this podcast is about.
Yeah, I can't see us getting a win at Anfield, man. I really can't. Even when we're on form and we're flying, I wouldn't be. Yeah, we're gonna go to Anfield. We're gonna turn them over. I just wouldn't, because they raise it like we do. I can see like a 2-1 or a 1-0 to Liverpool. I can't see them smashing us, but I think Rashford's key, man. I don't want to rush him. Obviously, I'd prefer him if there's a risk of him, you know, making it worse. I prefer not to play him, but if he plays, we've got a chance. If we don't, Martial's gonna have to have the game of his life to stand a chance, I think, because we just, you know. And Dan James again. Dan James, though, for me, he looked really good playing off the left-hand side. But since, obviously, when he started there, Rashford was playing down the middle. But since Rashford's gone to that left side, he's made that his own, man. So, obviously, Dan James has just reverted to, you know, just sitting on the right-hand side. So, no, I'd go with 2-1 to Liverpool or 1-0 to Liverpool, unfortunately. That sounds horrible saying that, man. But I'm just, like I say, that's just the realist in me, man. So,
it has to come out. I myself, before I read some of his comments, I actually predict a draw. Actually, I think I'm semi-confident enough that we can get a point at Anfield. I think we might be able to frustrate them enough that even though the atmosphere will be against us, you know, I think that we can frustrate them. So I'll be interested to see what team Klopp picks, because while Liverpool's midfield is good, I don't think they're necessarily, how can I say,
world class.
I don't want to say world class, but I think it's just like I expect Liverpool are going to have a lot of the ball. Let's put it that way. So, but one of the things I've noticed with Liverpool is that when Liverpool are given a lot of the ball, they tend to get a bit complacent. So the last game in particular, when I think they played against Tottenham, you know, Tottenham essentially gave them the ball, and it's almost like you look at them, and it's kind of like, we almost look at each other like, what do we do with? Not that we can't go and win, but it's like there's almost a kind of like it almost becomes too easy for them. I mean, when it comes to easy, there's a complacency, and that's why I think United can be key, because we're going to give Liverpool the ball. That's what's going to happen, and I think that will kill Liverpool's momentum, because Liverpool like to play with a bit of space and a bit of edge and a bit of fight and a bit of kind of come at us and we come at you with all sorts of. We're not going to do that, and that's probably why Klopp.
Man,
says, they're going to be defensive, blah blah blah, because he knows that his team potentially struggle when they've got too much space and opportunity.
The first 10 minutes is gonna be so important. If we lose a goal or a couple of chances, I think we're gonna sink in with the crowd behind them. The first 10 minutes is so important.
And they're loud, man. The Anfield crowd, they're loud.
Yeah, well, they're loud for the first few minutes. It's them singing. Yeah. It's not that.
If we win at Anfield, Ollie gets an extension. I know that. But if somehow we win, at Anfield, you've got to give him at least another year. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll ask you another question. If Ollie gets a battering like how Mourinho did, do you think he will keep his job?
I do. Yeah, I think he will. I think this game's a free game almost.
Yeah.
We're not expected to win. It's a surprise if we draw. And it's good if we don't get a hammer in. So I think this is a free pass for Ollie. Really, I don't see him being under any pressure. Do you know what though? I think, you raised a good point where you said about Alexander-Arnold and Robertson stopping them is crucial. I think we're one of the teams in the league that are, best placed for stopping those pair. If you look at our fullbacks, Wan-Bissaka will stop anyone. One-on-one, he'll stop anyone. So obviously, if they overload with obviously Mane and Robertson, which they're obviously brilliant at doing, then it's Dan James having to sprint back possibly, or whoever's supporting up top. That's the reason why I don't think Mason Greenwood will start. I think it will be Dan James, because Dan James will have to do the leg work getting back as well. So, but if it's anyone, I have confidence in Brandon Williams defensively, and also Wan-Bissaka defensively, but Brandon Williams offers that going forward as well. So he'll give Trent something to think about. Obviously, Brandon Williams has won us 2 penalties as well, isn't he? So I think he gives them something to think about as well.
No, you're right. I think you're right. Just reading quick some of the comments. Fully live. United should go for them. Their fullbacks can't bomb up the field and trap them in their own half, and use our quick feet and play more advanced and keep the ball and frustrate them. I agree and disagree with that at the same time. And the reason why I agree is that I think you're right. Actually, the fullbacks are key, and that we can frustrate them. The only thing I would say is that one of the things I've noticed Liverpool have been good at in recent is that Liverpool's ball distribution is infinitely better than ours. And the amount of times that I've seen, whether it's Van Dijk or even Milner, Henderson, like just pinging like diagonal, even Robertson in football, just pinging diagonal balls into the feet of Mane, into the feet of Salah, and they're through on goal from inside their half. So we need to be careful, because if we all just bomb up and just put pressure on the fullbacks, all it takes is a nice diagonal ball from Robertson or Van Dijk, and Mane is essentially through on goal potentially. So we need to just bear that in mind. We need to sort of guard against that.
And keeping on that point, I don't think we have the personnel to play more advanced and keep the ball and frustrate them. We have the personnel to kind of nullify their fullbacks, as Shane mentioned, but I think we don't have the personnel to play on the front foot and keep the ball and frustrate them. I don't think we can keep the ball. We just don't have those players.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
There's a comment here from Footy Live. Just seeing, it says, would love for a way in the comments to make a vocal opinion.
Yeah, no, there is, so that's a good point. So there is a way on, and I don't know whether, maybe because we're about an hour and 15 into, an hour and 23 minutes, so it might actually be for next week. But with the StreamYard streaming system, so long as you have a mic. You don't necessarily have to have a camera. You can, if camera microphone's fine. I can add you basically to the podcast or to the stream in order to make like a vocal sort of thing. So you just be added on into the podcast that we're running. So that's probably the best. That's probably the best way to do it. I don't know what you guys think.
I'll figure something out. I know I've been talking about the Discord. I'm sorry, lads, just haven't been able to. But because I'm not an expert in this Discord, but I know there are options where you can put people into chat rooms and have them talk out, and then have it come out on the stream. I know there is a way that you can do that.
Yeah.
And, maybe if once the Discord is up and running, we can advertise Discord, get you guys joining in. Then during the live shows, have a bit of a queue, and just we can drag and drop people into the podcast. You have their say something on that. Again, I'm not an expert in Discord. I can have a look at that option, and I've got you guys' numbers. We're in a group, so I'll text you away. Hopefully, I get by next week Friday. I will definitely have the Discord for our group up and running. Play around with it a lot as the week goes along. I'm free for the next 3-4 days, apart from watching the United game. So I'll be more than happy to kind of take my time and
sweet. No,
well, depending how it goes, you might be free after the first 10 minutes. So,
Gee, don't say it, man. Gee, don't go there, man.
I'm down 3 or 4. I'm going. Can't be like
I know.
Twitter, and I mean, I can just even imagine as soon as I go live with a post-match reaction or something, the amount of scousers that will be in the comment just bantering me like they did last time, just bantering. It would just, I'd have to get off Twitter and all those things. It'd be bad. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen.
With me, thankfully, not many people interact with me on Twitter, so I'm okay.
And answers to the last question, we will certainly get some doubt. There is one comment here actually that I want to just quickly discuss before we finish, and that is Joe Abraham actually says Rashford said he will be taking painkillers for the game. I think as well, to be honest, guys. What do you think about that? Because I just think that, I don't know. I'm a bit edgy if that's the case.
I'll just have a small thing to say on that. If he takes painkillers and then gets injured, then he'll be out for a longer period of time. I would not risk that. As Shane said, this is almost a free hit game. As much as we would like to beat Liverpool, I don't see us doing it. Don't risk Rashford, because you've got quite a lot of important games coming up. Top 4 coming up. Europa Cup is starting up again. You can probably add in the FA Cup if you want, but it's just too much of a risk for me. He should not be taking painkillers, if it is true.
Yeah, enough. I hope that's not a coaching. So the key thing, I hope that's not a coaching thing. So I hope that,
they take injections and all that lot, don't they? It's a known thing in football. Like, they'll take injections to see him through a specific game, but obviously at the risk of further injury, and it's your back, man. You can't mess about. It's not like it's a broken finger or anything like that, man. You know what I mean? He's a footballer, man. It's his back. So for me, that's not worth the risk.
And saying that, if Rashford ends up playing, Liverpool players will know for sure that Rashford is half fit. They will target him. They will target him deliberately.
Good point.
Imagine Van Dijk going straight through him. Oh my god.
Good point.
Yeah, Van Dijk will just be like, come on. Yeah. Well, let's be real here, So,
sit down, son.
It's like, let's this is a boys and men thing, So, so I don't know. I'd be to be honest, even if you, even if I still think going 3-5-2, and even if Rashford, I'm just putting Greenwood with Martial up top with him, might is what we'll come to. The positive thing for me about Greenwood is, as I've said this multiple times in my videos, is that for me Greenwood has better composure than Rashford, even though he's younger. So like Greenwood, you can use both feet, and you can finish for an Ibanez, and he just knows when to shoot. Like he Rashford takes his time and is getting better, but I just think that Greenwood up there in place of Rashford isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just that it's not ideal.
Yeah. Ollie did say Greenwood is the best natural finisher in our club.
Yeah.
And you know what? We should play Greenwood. He will definitely play at some point in the game. This should be no pressure match for him. Just go out there and enjoy yourself, get the experience. He can make an impact. You never know, just like how Rashford did when he first kind of started and went on to score 2 goals against Arsenal. If I remember all those years back.
Yeah.
But yeah, Greenwood should be just going out and just play the game, man. Don't worry about how things go. Just play.
No. I agree. Just last few comments before we end the stream. Thanks everyone for watching. By the way, like the video, and remember to subscribe to. Go ahead over and visit Draco Evolve's channel as well as United Man and Red Devil Weekly. You know, so like Kieran, who's usually with us but is not with us this week, probably back with us next week. It is us guys. So check out their channels and please go over, like, share, and subscribe to them. Football Fever does say that Rashford shouldn't play as he's basically making his career much smaller, which I agree with.
Good point.
Ella Louise says risking Rashford would also be madness. And Don Ragnar says Ollie's rotation management style stinks of self-serving, i.e. do what's necessary to not get fired rather than what's best for the players / club. Thoughts? And that'll be, we'll end with that. What do you guys think?
Shane, take that one. Take the
lead. There's truth in that. There is some truth in that. I've often said that Ollie is sometimes a bit of a yes man. Not all the time, just sometimes. That much is true to the point of where you're hearing him saying, I've said it before, where he's coming out saying, right, we'll only buy the right players that are available. You know, the January market's typically hard to sign players, the best players, all that kind of stuff. That's Woodward in his ear, obviously. So, you know, what managers come out and say that, you know, it's unless it's their financial guys in their ear. So that being said, and the fact that we've not replaced, as you mentioned earlier, we've not replaced anyone that we've sold. So and that's been going on for quite some time. So in that respect, I'd say, you know, there's truth in that. At the same time, because I was speaking to someone before and they were saying, you know, who's Ollie brought through in, you know, the youth system. I'm saying, well, you got Greenwood there. Obviously, that's you know, Greenwood's obviously making a big impact. You've also obviously. Yeah, you got Brandon Williams who's there as well. So for me, he's doing his own thing. He is trying to, you know, do his own thing in terms of doing the right thing. But for me, he needs to bring that balance. He's too much. He's heading for the whole young player thing. He's just really hammering it that home. So you need experience in there as well. So I'd say that comment is 50-50 right and not so.
Yeah.
I agree with Shane there. I think no manager will turn around and say, you know, it's not right financially, etc. All managers will want more players because the more players for each position, the better for the team and the manager. But I think what Ole needs to do a lot more is play the youth like he said he would, on a much higher frequency. You've got a lot of teams. You got a lot of games all across the season. You look at the League Cup, Carabao Cup, whatever it's called. I can't remember the last time James Gunnar actually started, and I love the guy. I keep saying that, but given our
Europa
midfield,
League.
Is it
in October?
Given our midfield crisis, I would like to see maybe a bit of rotation from Ollie, and I think Ollie is at times probably too scared in case he loses his job, because practically speaking, he is his dream job. United job, and I think he's too scared to lose it. To play these guys like Lingard week in, week out, almost over the likes of Chong and Gomez, who's now potentially going to leave because of game time only.
Yeah,
it is a bit of a frustration in my part, and I'm sure with a lot of you guys out there. But yeah, I would like to see a lot more youth being played. He's done good things with Brandon Williams. I give him that. Mason Greenwood as well. But let's get a bit more in. Let's see the James Garner a bit more. 10 minutes, 15 minutes here and there. Let's see Angel Gomez and a bit more of Tai Chong. But definitely Angel Gomez. Let's see Tuanzebe be in a CDM position. I mean, come on. Let's put him in a CDM position. Give it a try. You can't go wrong. You can't go any worse than what we've seen already in the season.
This is the season to try, isn't it?
Yeah, just try it and set yourself up properly for next season while still getting the top four. Because that will be a big plus if we set ourselves up properly for next season with 3-4 youth players stepping up as well as the top four. And then with the right signings, I think next season, because you can't fault Oli for his signings. I think his signings has been good.
Yeah, absolutely.
On Bissaka and James, and it's more of that.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. I think, and like last, I think I agree with what everyone's saying. I think the only thing going as for Don Magnus sort of point is that there still have been certain games this season where I have felt I don't really understand why Oli has not rotated. So, and this was when some of these players were actually fit. So, for example, Europa League games, there were quite a few of those games where I was like, come on, Ghana, should be in there. Greenwood should have been playing a bit more sort of frequently. Why is Lingard playing? That type of sort of thing. Giving Rashford a break. Certain games, I feel that, or at the very least, alternating it, and he went and played with them regardless. Even with centre backs, when some of our centre backs were free, when Twansibi was fit.
True.
I felt, hopefully, throw him in. So, I do think that, and on top of that, when we hear reports that Solskjaer, he did obviously he froze out quite a lot of key players, told him to leave, etc. Lukaku's and Matic and the like. And now, if you're those players, if you're Matic, Flane, all these players are like, right, okay, I'm going to get the deadwood out, and then you then overplay players. Those players then get injured, and then you're now going back to those players and then saying, right, okay, can you guys come in and do a job? Obviously, imagine how you'd feel in that respect. So there is an element with, good management sort of says that, right, okay, you rotate
enough, yeah.
You do that so that you end up keeping everyone happy, So rather than just sort of constantly playing players because you fear your job, the reality is that, in my opinion, anyway, is that we're losing games. At times, we're losing games not necessarily because of the player personnel. We're losing games because of the tactics that we employ, which I think is very, very different. Because last year people were cussing Lukaku because they only scored against small teams. We're beating small teams. It wasn't enough. This year we're struggling to beat small teams. So
true.
What happens with Oli? But I think more players is the thing, but we'll see. I guess we'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Bruno Fernandes. Exactly.
Match kicks off in about roughly half an hour. I'll be watching that one. Please.
Right, everyone. Thanks again for watching. Thanks, and appreciate you guys tuning in. It's bye from us. Like I said, head over to Draco Evolve, United Man's channel, subscribe, get involved in those channels as well. We'll hopefully be doing this episode weekly or so, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Thanks for watching it. Shout out to everyone in the comments for getting involved. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much. Take care.
And cheers.
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 Are we good?